Welcome back, everyone, to Unbroken Arrows podcast. As always, I'm Catherine.
And I'm Greg. And today we are going to highlight the PDR Youth Hunt. The PDR Youth Hunt has been a topic of the Unbroken Arrows podcast previously. And as a refresher, the PDR Youth Hunt honors the memory of Peyton Dean Rasmussen. Peyton's life was cut short in 1999 when he died as a result of spinal meningitis. The first PDR Youth Hunt took place in 2008, and it's held in Clark, South Dakota, which is a small town west of Watertown. The focus on the PDR Youth Hunt is to provide adolescent boys and girls, ages 12 to 18, with disabilities, to enjoy a weekend of hunting where friends and memories are made. We have a young man with us today that will be a participant in next month's PDR Youth Hunt. He is Kolby. He is going to be a high school sophomore. He's a 15-year-old from southeastern South Dakota, and Kolby has a passion for hunting. Kolby was diagnosed with osteosarcoma at the age of 11. And osteosarcoma is a type of bone cancer that begins in the cells of the bones and most often in the long bones that make up the arms and legs, though it can occur in any bone. It tends to occur in children and young adults. So, Kolby, welcome to the Unbroken Arrows podcast.
Thank you.
Well, Kolby, we're closing in to, I guess, about a month away from this year's PDR Youth Hunt, and are you starting to get anxious for it?
Yes, I am.
So, Kolby, if I understand correctly, this will be your third PDR Youth Hunt, and how did the previous two PDR Youth Hunts go? I think if I remember right, your mom and dad told me that last year you didn't harvest a deer, but what happened the year before?
Year before that, it's the same thing. My problem with hunting is I get excited and I always forget to account for the elevations when using my rifle. So the deer's higher up, I aim the same way, but I always forget, what is it? If you aim high, if the deer's higher up, you aim lower. But if the deer's on a lower elevation than you aim higher up. I think that's how it goes. Don't quote me on it.
Archery, you have to kind of factor in that elevation a little bit too. So I get excited though too, and I have issues. So I'm right there with you.
Kolby, what bone or bones were affected by the osteosarcoma?
Let's see, a little bit of my femur, kneecap, the knee, of course, and the tibia and the fibula were affected, I do believe.
Okay. What kind of symptoms alerted you to that there might be a concern?
Well, the symptoms would include I had a massive pain in my knee, so bad that eventually I couldn't even walk anymore, and the knee would jam up, which would be another thing of concern. And then another thing we noticed was I would stop eating. I wouldn't eat anything.
So once you received that diagnosis, Kolby, then they eventually decided to amputate part of your leg, part of your femur, and then part of your tibia and fibula.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you were also fitted with the prosthesis then, correct?
Yes, but that wouldn't happen for another year.
Oh, okay. So the first year then you were limited to crutches?
Yep.
I mentioned earlier that you have a passion to hunt, and hunting is one of those things that I think you share passion with your mom and dad, but your mom and dad shared with me a story about just how important hunting is to you, and that even after taking a treatment and chemotherapy, that couldn't hold you back from going deer hunting. What was the story behind that hunt?
So, let me think. That one would have been the one, it was on Thanksgiving. We went out to go hunt for deers. We took a ranger to get us to our spot, and when we got there, we were surrounded by deer. So we got out and we slowly made our way to a high spot so I would be able to look around. And well, there we would wait until it would get brighter out so we could actually see the deer and get a good shot. Once we did, once first light came in, the time was right to hunt. I took the first shot and I dropped it. They had me on some med that would that gave me back my appetite. In fact, I was the first kid to ever actually gain weight doing chemo. So, but yeah, I was still feeling sick and all that, but felt better now since I could get stuff in my stomach.
And was that your first deer that you harvested, or is that that was just one of many?
That would be my last deer for the season, but I would go out next year and I got another deer.
So, Kolby, when did your love of hunting begin? Did you start at a really young age, or is it something that developed over time?
It started at a really young age. It was when I first got my BB gun. I would always go out around our property and shoot some of the crows because they would get into our field and eat the seeds. Then eventually I upgraded to a 22, which I would go hunting for rabbits, but never did get one because, let's just say, I'm not that good of an aim with iron sights. And now my go-to small game gun is a 410.
How old were you when you shot your first deer?
I'd probably say 10 maybe.
How has hunting kind of changed for you throughout the years? You said you started with crows and then you tried to shoot rabbits and deer.
Well, right now we actually upgraded to elk, which I got my first elk.
That's awesome. When were you elk hunting? Was that last year?
That would have been about 3 years ago.
Great. Where were you elk hunting at?
Oregon.
That's pretty sweet.
Were your mom and dad with you on that hunt in Oregon for the elk?
Yep, they were there with me.
Was it a bull elk or a cow elk?
It was a bull.
Okay.
I actually have the head sitting up in our living room.
Okay, now Kolby, the PDR Youth Hunt is coming up this September 20th and 21st, and harvesting a deer is important, but that's not the primary focus. The camaraderie of the deer camp and the friendships that are formed and learning about just the outdoors and sportsmanship and respect for nature and all of those kinds of things are a big part of the PDR Youth Hunt. And I also know that they have volunteers that work and help out. And of course, individual landowners are the ones that are usually the guides for the hunters and their companions. And over the 2 days or so that you're there, I mean, you get to do quite a few things. There's target shooting. You get to have a couple of cookouts and things like that. And then you get to go out and you're escorted out by your guides and the guardian, and you get to go. It's usually ground level deer blinds, if I'm not mistaken, and you get the opportunity then to harvest a deer before coming back to eat lunch and have a big dinner at night and those types of things. So you've experienced this before. What parts of that weekend are the ones that you like the best?
Well, I can't really tell you that because it's all my favorite.
Oh, that's a good answer.
I like the target practice, shooting tannerite. We even win prizes. We have a competition where we put some targets down range, and the more points you get equals the most amount of tickets you'll get, and those tickets are used to win guns.
Oh.
Have you ever won a gun?
No, but I did win a rangefinder.
Nice.
So what are you most looking forward to for this year's hunt?
I'm looking forward to getting my deer again and meeting some of my old friends.
If I'm not mistaken, there's about 8, maybe 9, something like that, fellow hunters that you have in deer camp that weekend. Is that about right?
That's about right.
So you're looking forward to seeing your friends again and hopefully harvesting a deer this year. Are there any strategies you're thinking of changing up, or have you been practicing on your target to make sure that you relax and take those deep breaths before you pull the trigger? So any strategies that you're thinking of changing?
I'm going to try and just keep my heart rate down and just breathe in and out, just help calm myself down and learn more about the elevations and keep working on target practice, since right now I've been trying to shoot up to about 100 yards, but we only do 50, and I never like doing 50. I always like to be prepared, since Dad says, well, the deer will be about 50 yards. And I said, well, no, we got to be at least 100 or 150.
Sure. You need to be prepared for all ranges.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Kolby, if there was somebody listening to our podcast today that might have an interest in attending the PDR Youth Hunt, but they're just maybe a little bit hesitant or maybe scared to do so, what would you tell them or their parents or guardians about considering attending or applying for a PDR Youth Hunt? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that since everyone there has the same thing almost, that they're going to understand about it and that there's no need to be scared since it's a lot of fun. And if you're scared of the gun, they have hearing protection and they have top of the line stuff so that like they have silencers so that can help so it's not too loud. Top of the line hearing protection and seeing protection. They also, the guides there are just the greatest since they'll do whatever you need them to do. Since if you tell them you want to go to this spot or that spot or change up the booth a bit for your hunting, they'll do that. They'll make everything so it's just right for you.
That's very good. And that's what I've heard about the PDR Youth Hunt too, is that that whole weekend is all of the volunteers and all the people that help out are focused on one thing, and that's all of the participants to have the best weekend that they can have. If they're able to harvest a deer as well, that's even a bonus.
Actually, the best part about that is even if you don't get a deer, the tag is still good anywhere in South Dakota.
Sure, so you can still hunt.
You can keep hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you have any other hunts that you are wanting to go on?
One of my other animals I would like to get would be a moose.
That would be pretty cool. Do you know where you want to go to do that?
I go anywhere to get a moose.
Anywhere. Canada, Alaska.
I'd like to go back to Alaska. That'd be fun to go back there. Or another one of my dream hunts would also be a bear hunt.
What kind of bear?
A black bear. I do a grizzly bear, but I don't feel like missing my shot and getting mauled alive.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. That would not be good.
Yeah, I think black bear would be a better choice as well. What are some of your other hobbies, Kolby?
I like to build Legos and just build stuff in general. So, like, if you give me a bunch of Lincoln logs or building blocks, I'll mess around with those and build masterpieces.
Future engineer, huh?
Yep, I want to be a naval architect and marine engineer one day.
Oh, awesome. As you've gone through your journey with your cancer and your prosthetic leg, has there been anything that you've encountered that you decided that this might be difficult to do, but by gosh, I'm going to do it?
I have encountered a lot of stuff like that, but I always like to push through since when you do that, that's when you know you're going to have something good.
That's a good good approach. Very good approach. I take it from hunting and a part of our podcast, one of the things that we encourage everyone to do is get outside and enjoy the outdoors and experience its healing powers. How do you feel when you're outside hunting, outdoors in general? You play football, those types of things that just, things that you do outside. How do you feel when you're outside and in nature?
I just feel relaxed and at peace when I'm out there because, like, it's way better than just being inside, stressed out playing a video game. It's peaceful just to hear the birds chirp, see some of the animals roaming around. It's just nice.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. Now, I think that we're probably going to have to maybe talk to you again, Kolby, sometime after the hunt to find out how things went this year. So maybe that would be a time for us to have another conversation.
That will work.
Okay. Well, Catherine, do you have any other questions for Kolby?
Well, I just want to say good luck this year. I know you've shot a couple before, but that'd be a cool experience.
Yes, I thank you for that. And if I get a deer, I'll give you some jerky.
Oh, perfect. That is a win for me.
We would never say no to that, Kolby. Thank you, Kolby, for being our guest and just a little bit more about the PDR Youth Hunt, more information can be found by you, our listeners, at thepdryouthhunt.com. And they have opportunities for people to volunteer, and of course, opportunities for people to donate monetarily and in different ways, I'm sure. The only requirements for those that are interested in putting in an application, it is open to youth, as I mentioned before, age 12 to 18. And the youth hunting license is required, so I think that's a $5 fee. But the other requirement is that all participants need to have taken the South Dakota Hunter Safety class, which is free and provided by the South Dakota Game Fish and Parks. So as we finish up talking with Kolby here, I would also like to extend my well wishes and good luck on this year's hunt, and I hope that you're going to be able to, like I said before, take a deep breath right before you pull that trigger, and you're going to make sure that your aim is true. So good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you guys, too.
Take care, Kolby.
So for our second guest this episode, we have Kolby's mom, Kari. Kari, how are you doing today?
I am doing well, thank you.
Well, Kari, we have questions for you because we want to talk a little bit about the parents' perspective, get some answers from the parents' point of view about the impact that the PDR Youth Hunt has had on youth based on your observations. So Kolby said this is going to be his third PDR Youth Hunt. So what has the PDR Youth Hunt meant to you and Kelly, your husband?
You know, at first we were very apprehensive about it just because we don't like to look at and think of Kolby as having a disability or anything like that. But they really encouraged us to do it, try it, and if we didn't like it, we didn't have to come back. Me and Kelly found a whole nother family with the PDR hunt. Not only the people who run it, but the people who are there participating in it. And it's just so relaxing to be able to visit with others that know what you've been going through, that understand difficulties, to get their thoughts and perspectives on what they've done to make things better, and for you to be able to share your perspectives on what you've done that can help them and their child as well. And that's really what we are enjoying going back year after year to the PDR hunt anymore, is reconnecting with those people. How did things go? What do we need to work on next for all of our children that have some type of a disability?
Well, I would say that those comments that you just shared are echoing what Kolby said in terms of when asked maybe his favorite part, and he said, well, that's kind of a tough question to answer because it's everything, but he really is looking forward to talking with and meeting up with his friends again. So it sounds like it's really a family atmosphere.
100%, and that's what their goal is. It's so fun and so exciting for us to see the kids come back, either if they harvested a deer or if they did harvest a deer, to hear their stories about being in the blind and things that they did in there or didn't do in there at the same time. And it's just such a exhilarating feeling to be able to see that from a parent perspective with these kids that don't get to be in the outdoors like maybe they want to.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I've learned that Kolby and Catherine share a trait maybe when being in the blind. And I've heard that Kolby sometimes has a tendency to take a nap in the blind, and Catherine is really good at that.
I'm really good at napping in the blind. Probably 75% of the time I'm in a blind, I'm taking a nap.
And that's what's so wonderful about the PDR hunt is a deep satisfaction for assisting these kids and that kind of stuff, that they really do anything and everything. If the kid has to take a nap, they're had so much excitement and are overwhelmed, or it's just that time of the day or whatever it might be, they're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll stay awake and they'll nudge them when the when the animals get close enough for them as well. If the kids have to eat or whatever, it might be something that you normally do in a blind, but they allow it. They figure out ways around all of that as well.
After visiting with you and Kelly last week, it seems to me that the outdoors, especially hunting, is an important part of your family. And my question is, have the outdoor activities such as hunting and maybe others helped you during the time as you've moved through your journey with caring for Kolby? And what about Kolby as well? Has outdoors, nature, time spent outside been part of that process of adjustment and healing?
Absolutely it has, because we've always been a very outdoorsy family. We've always really enjoyed doing things together, and that was one of Kolby's concerns, is that he wouldn't be able to do that type of stuff with us anymore. And we just always told him, if you want to do it, you're going to do it. And, don't let anything stop you. Figure out a way to make it happen. Again, that's what's so wonderful about the PDR hunt is, kids who are in wheelchairs or kids that can't get into the outdoors easily, they make it happen. If they have to rent special wheelchairs that will go in, across uneven ground and stuff like that, they do it. Whatever it is, they make it happen. And, for these kids that don't have an opportunity to be out there, now they do. And that's the best part. And you can just see kids and Kolby and everybody is so relaxed and so just calm when they're able to be in the outdoors and get that fresh air and that kind of stuff.
Well, I think that's what the objectives were when the PDR Youth Hunt was set up, based upon my conversations with those that are part of the organization. So it sounds like it's really come to fruition what the goals were. It's really what's happening.
And with Kolby, him being able to be in the outdoors and actually have some of that calmness in his life, like that's what enjoys him, and that's he looks back on that and thinks back at those times when he's maybe having a rough time or a rough day or a rough moment, and it helps him get through those rough times is remembering the good or knowing, hey, I got to get through this and then I can get back outside again or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Well, that's the premise behind our podcast, is healing through the hunt, healing through the outdoors, and taking advantage of the activities of just being outside and experiencing nature for that healing process.
So you talk about being like an outdoorsy family. Did you guys hunt together as a family growing up while he was growing up as well?
We did. So actually my husband was the hunter, and then when I married him, he got me into hunting and really enjoyed it. I don't hunt for horns and that kind of stuff like my husband does. I hunt because having fun with my friends doing it, being able to be with family doing it, those kind of things. And Kolby has really taken a combination of both of those types, the trophy hunter and the let's just have fun and spend time together part, and incorporated it very, very well into everything that he does, not just the hunting outdoors.
Sure. Now, I asked Kolby this question, and I want to ask you a similar question. And if somebody was interested in attending the PDR Youth Hunt, and whether it's an adolescent, a youth that's interested, or in maybe talking with their parents or guardians about the possibility of doing it, and maybe they're riding the fence. They don't know if this is something that, they want to do, something similar to what you said you experienced. So what would you say to these parents or guardians with regard to their possible apprehension of signing up for their adolescent to attend?
The biggest thing that I can tell anybody is just like it. It's no big deal. No one's going to look at them different. No one's going to be upset at them, anything like that. And if they don't like it, you don't have to go back the next year, which is really nice. It's not like it's a big commitment or anything, lifelong commitment, anything like that. So you'd be amazed at how many kids have never fired a rifle before. They get there and they're scared, and by the end of the day, that's all the kid wants to do is continue to shoot. They don't ever want to take a break.
Sure.
And so, it's so great to be able to see that, and that should never be, denied to anybody, and unfortunately it is. But with the PDR hunt, they're able to do that again.
And another one of the things that I think that makes the PDR Youth Hunt so special is and you alluded to it, the number of people that spend time, volunteer their time, and help all involved, the families involved, the adolescents that are hunting to make it work, individual landowners that offer their land for the hunts, types of sponsors they have that help make weekend special with the prizes. Kolby talked about that. There are contests that go along with that. Again, sometimes based on this conversation, I think sometimes the harvest of a deer, while that is important to, especially if that may be a first-time hunter, but even if that doesn't happen, the memories that are made and the friendships and the camaraderie is something that are memories of a lifetime.
100%. Kolby's only harvested one deer up there at the hunt. And, like you said, the harvest, yeah, it's great. But even when they don't harvest and they're upset, everybody, the guides, the volunteers, the community people, they all rally around to make that child know that it's okay that they didn't harvest. What were those good memories? What were those good times? And they start talking and looking at that, and then, they forget they didn't even harvest the deer. They just remember the good.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, most of my hunts end without harvesting much of anything, so. and Catherine gets a nap in usually, so. Another question I asked Kolby was what part of the weekend was his favorite? So, Kari, what parts of the weekend, parts of the weekend stand out to you from a parent's perspective that are real special?
The first part that stands out to me is the arriving, because seeing Kolby so excited to see everybody that continues to come back every year, volunteers, guides, or participants, being able to see them and reconnecting with them, that's one of the best parts. The second good part is when they go out on their hunt, sometimes they're with a guardian will go with them and that kind of stuff, and sometimes the guardian doesn't. It's only the guide that goes out. It just kind of depends on the kid. Mm-hmm. And knowing that they're in good hands, knowing that they're in safe hands with these guides who have taken so much time to do the scouting, setting up the proper stands so that the kid can get into it and that kind of stuff, so that you have time to just sit back, relax, and visit with other parents is the second best time of the whole weekend.
Sure. You mentioned kind of the family atmosphere in the community, and those relationships that are built last forever.
100%. And one thing that I'd like to add, and I don't know if Kolby touched on this or not, but, if anybody wants to help volunteer or donate, if it's snacks for the kids throughout the day, if it's drinks for the kids throughout the day, or anything up to prizes and all that kind of stuff. But one of the big things that I know that they're always looking for is stuffed animals.
Okay.
The bigger the stuffed animal, the better it is, because what they actually do is they put tannerite in the animals and let the kids target practice on them. And that is the best things, is not only watching the volunteers making the tannerite and getting it put in there and their excitement, but then the kids' excitements when they get to hit it.
Well, that's going to be one of the things that I guess I have mentioned it and will mention it again, that PDRYouthHunt.com is the website. On that website, there are ways to contact those that are involved with the planning and the organization of the PDR Youth Hunt. There's also a way to donate. Talks about how if someone wants to donate a monetary amount, there is a set of instructions there as well. So, and stuffed animals, add that to the list.
Mm-hmm. If
The
anyone's
bigger the
got
better.
stuffed animals lying around.
Absolutely. It's so fun. They start the weekend off, and it's just green grass and everything where they have their shooting range set up, and by the time the weekend's over, all you see is white fluff everywhere and anywhere that you look. And it's just wonderful because the kids get such a joy out of that and a kick out of that. They get to pick which stuffed animal they want to shoot and different things, and it's just another fun moment that occurs.
Yeah. Well, Kari, again, thank you very much for taking the time to visit with us, and I hope that we get the opportunity to meet you and Kolby and Kelly. We both wished Kolby success on harvesting a deer at this year's PDR Youth Hunt.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so very much for reaching out and getting this message across to all of your listeners, because it is such an important thing for these kids to be able to go and do.
And that is part of what our objective is we want everyone to be able to get outdoors and enjoy nature and use it for the healing purposes like we have been fortunate enough to do in our lives. So, thanks, Kari.
Yeah, thank you.
Our immediate family has experienced cancer-related deaths as a result of leukemia, prostate, and ovarian cancer. It would be safe to say that every one of us has had our lives impacted by cancer in some way. A healthy diet, which can include wild game and fish, and exercise through outdoor activities, has the potential to improve a person's physical and mental health. At any age, if you're active, stay active. If you are not as active as you'd like to be, it is not too late to start now as a way to improve your physical and mental health. So, to all of our listeners, take some time to get outside, enjoy the outdoors, and experience its healing powers. With that, on behalf of Catherine and me, until next time.